Get in the lifeboat. Those were the orders that Mary Eloise Smith would receive from her doomed husband aboard that doomed sinking ship, the Titanic. I have told a lot of stories on my channel, and we are here today in Spring Hill Cemetery in Huntington, West Virginia. It is just right out the window. We are going to find her grave now, Mary Eloise Smith. I have told a lot of stories on here. I do believe that this is the most ironic story that I have ever told on this channel. Stay tuned for an unbelievable story, the story of Mary Eloise Smith. Mary Eloise Hughes Smith was a native of Huntington, West Virginia, where we are today. She was born into an affluent family, with her father being West Virginia Congressman James Hughes and her mother being Belle Vinson, whose family was also a well-known political family. She was born August 7, 1893. Since her father was a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, she spent a significant amount of time in Washington, D.C. And back in those days, things were a little different than they are today. Young ladies would make a societal debut, and she did so in January 1912. While making her debut, she would catch the eye of a prominent resident from Morgantown, West Virginia, Lucian Philip Smith. He was also wealthy, and when they would marry on February 8, 1912, at Central Christian Church in Huntington, West Virginia, it was one of the most brilliant weddings ever witnessed in Huntington. So the couple would head out towards a magnificent honeymoon, and being so wealthy, they spared no expense. They went to Egypt and would visit sites throughout the Middle East and eventually make their way to Europe. Now let's think about the timelines here. It's spring 1912. The couple had finally made their way to Europe after an extended trip and were looking to come home. Being so wealthy, they had the luxury of booking whichever method available to come home. We've heard of a collision course with history before. This was a big one. They would book a first-class passage back to the United States, a first-class passage aboard the RMS Titanic. Lucian had been playing cards Sunday evening after dinner when he came to Eloise, who had already turned in for the night, telling her that the ship had struck an iceberg. Lucian would explain that this will probably just delay us a day or so getting to New York. It does not amount to anything, he told her. The captain has ordered all ladies to the deck of the ship, but again, it's nothing to worry about. Women and children first. That was the order being forcefully given by Captain Smith. She asked if her husband may accompany her on the lifeboat. Once again, she was greeted with the firm order, women and children first. Eloise made her way to lifeboat number 6, which was under the command of Quartermaster Robert Hitchens. Tragically, she would never see Lucian again, and his body was never recovered. It was said that Mary Eloise Smith and Lucian may have cut their trip short because she was found to be pregnant, and in November of 1912, Lucian Philip Smith II was born. This story is tragic, and stories from the Titanic have been told for the last 100 years, but do you remember how I said at the beginning of the video that this was one of the most ironic videos that I have ever made? Well, let me tell you why. On August 18th, 1914, Mary Eloise would remarry. She married Robert Williams Daniel. Unbelievably, Robert Daniel was also a Titanic survivor. Now this adds a whole new element to the story. Robert Daniel was born September 11th, 1884 in Richmond, Virginia, and it was said that he was on his way to Philadelphia. The story of his survival is a wild one. One account would say that he, along with 2 other guys, jumped in the icy water at the last minute, and he would swim around until being picked up by one of the lifeboats. After being rescued by the Carpathia, Robert would comfort Eloise, who had just lost her newlywed husband. It was said that he would carry Mary Eloise to the pier and handed her over to her father. Robert and Eloise would meet together on occasion and would marry in 1914. This was an unbelievably tragic and ironic story to think that it's rare enough to have heard of someone who survived the Titanic. She was married to someone who passed away on the Titanic. I dare say she may be the only person in history who was married to two different people that were aboard that ship. So I just find the irony very telling in this situation and something you just don't hear of. Let's go over a few things. The marriage between Robert and Eloise would last until 1923, when Mary Eloise would file for and be granted a divorce, citing an unknown blonde woman. Robert would remarry a few more times and would die at age 56 from cirrhosis of the liver. He is buried in Hollywood Cemetery in Richmond, Virginia, where I have visited before, and if I ever go back, I would love to visit his final resting place. Mary Eloise Smith would marry a few more times, but would eventually revert back to her original married name of Smith. She was in a Cincinnati, Ohio sanitarium when she passed away at age 46 from a heart attack. She is in the Vinson family plot here at Spring Hill Cemetery in Huntington, West Virginia. The son of Lucian and Mary Smith, Lucian Philip Smith II, would live until age 58 and passed away in Sarasota, Florida in 1971. Today's story was filled with twists, turns, emotion, and irony. Please like and subscribe for more cemetery and history videos. Join us here on Whit Docs. Another video of mine will be on the screen soon. It is my hopes that you will watch it. Once again, from Spring Hill Cemetery in Huntington, West Virginia, I will see you again soon.